All right. The wildest thing that has ever happened to me was actually even before we even opened my agency. So I'm a, captive agent, and we were looking for locations. We found a great spot on a busy road about 4 miles down from another agent who was of the same carrier. And the guy contacted my landlord and my person I was working with at the company and tried to lease the space that I found for double the rent just to avoid a competitor being a few miles down the road from him. And it became a whole big thing. We got the spots, so we were definitely victorious. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. But, that comes with the territory. My name is Robert Junge. I'm in Buffalo, New York, and I'm an insurance dude.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Boom!
Wow.
Boom! Isn't it crazy? I had a very similar experience. Old school insurance mentality.
It makes no sense, honestly. It's one of the most frustrating things that I feel like I deal with. I don't consider myself young, but in the insurance world, we're all considered basically 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
21-year-olds. But I mean, just trying to even consider doing something differently is ostracized consistently in the community. And it can get very frustrating, especially with something as simple as somebody who has the same carrier as me 3.5 miles down the road in a different county, by the way. We're on county line. So
how many people are just, there's an agency. I'm going to pull over and get some new insurance today.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, usually you don't want those people when they do that. So
Right.
We found.
No, they sit in your office for 45 minutes and go over. Yeah.
We actively try to avoid walk-ins, which is one of the favorite things we love about Teledudes, honestly, is, we really focus on keeping people on the phone, getting it done on the phone, maybe coming in to sign some documents, but we don't want people to come in for the quote. We want to do the quote on the phone.
I 100% believe this. Now, this is not the norm, right? When you say that to insurance agents, they're like, you are prick.
Yeah,
what I mean?
That's very true.
Yeah, because we all know what happens. Yes, it is an easier sell sometimes if they know you, but if it's just a straight walk, I'm in a location right here that there's a farmer's agent right down below, and right behind us in this little tiny center, a State Farm agent. So every time we have a walk-in, they have a stack of forms and they're like trying to figure out the differences between these policies. And, I took work off for this. Okay. So you're literally looking for the lowest price.
Yep.
And you are the worst. So they stay in here for an hour. And it's just eating time. It's we'd rather focus on our current clients. And then,
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I mean, if somebody comes in and says they took the day off work, that's a big red flag for me. I'm not really
going to waste time at a low likelihood of closing it if they're just running from place to place.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way to control traffic, right? Okay, I want this sweet space because everybody's going to show up to buy insurance. Okay, maybe, probably not. But if they do, you're never going to be able to control how much traffic walks in.
Yeah, absolutely. When we do the opposite, we try to control how little traffic walks in. That's
right.
That's actually much easier, to be honest.
Lock the door, baby.
I love that you say that because you're the first person that said that. And that is exactly what I do. It's I don't want anyone walking in. Isn't it crazy that customers will do, clients, customers, whatever, will do that? Just walk in. But if you're walking in for a small thing, that's one thing. But I want you to review all these policies in their hands. And it's dude, why don't you just call in?
Right.
And let us know. We'll have everything ready. But nope, they come in with the papers. Next thing you know, it's 45 minutes later and they want you to do it Johnny on the spot. And it's dude, we all could have saved an incredible amount of time. Doctors don't do that, right? You don't just go in and get a root canal on the whim.
The doctor.
And honestly, it's sometimes tough when I have new employees to get them to comprehend why walk-ins aren't good, why having them come in isn't good, why it's a problem. Because we always try to hire people not in the insurance industry. That's always the goal when we bring someone on. So indoctrinating them into this mess of a world that we all live in sometimes takes some beating, repetition over and over the head, trying to explain to them, you don't want to spend an hour and a half reviewing this guy's monoline auto policy. It's not worth your time. It doesn't matter that he has 5 cars. It's not worth it. So you've wasted my time, your time, and it's really hard to get those principles. But, once you get a good rhythm, and we've been open now for, this is year 7, and we've got a pretty good system. We had a kind of a unique situation. So in Buffalo, where I live, premiums are really low. Everyone is always shocked when I try and explain that to them. Like,
How low?
So me and my wife have 2 cars. We pay $1,100 a year for the auto insurance, and that's fully loaded. My home insurance is $450 for the year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Now that's very good, to be clear, but the average premium is probably $600-700 every 6 months, and the homeowners is between $500 to $800 a year. So volume is king here. You gotta sell. But what happened is, in this area, the captive carrier that I work with, a lot of old school agents opened up agencies. They tried to do it the old school way with walk-ins, and yeah, they got sales, but they're selling 20 items a month. Well, do the math on that premium. That's not enough money to stay open. You just can't do it.
Right.
So these agents ended up closing, and I was the last man standing to some degree. We were actually on a nice upturn right now where we have some really good agents around me who are opening. But these small agencies that closed, I absorbed them because there was nothing else to do with them. And so therefore, I absorbed their bad clients, their walk-in clients. And now it's try to get through that, navigate it, and honestly, not get them out, but at least get them cross-sold or get them trained to do things the way we do things.
I love that. That is a very important key, is to train. Like, it's funny that a lot of people get upset at their clients when it's like, dude, you guys are letting them do this stuff. But like, you can train them. Like, everybody wants to follow a protocol in some sense, right?
Absolutely.
When you walk into a new store, you're kind of looking around like, how's this done? Like, where's everybody? Like, so if you let them know, like, hey, shoot us a call and we'll review your policy and we'll have all the docs ready. It'll save both of us a ton of time. That's why we do it that way, blah, 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 or whatever it may be. That's just an example. But like, yeah, and it's not a bad thing. Like, if you are bothered by any of the activity that's going on in your agency, you can 100% control it. But you have to have that like mentality of like, hey, we have to train them. Yeah, I love that.
I think a lot of that goes into the scarcity, right? If you have that scarcity mentality, like the guy that was trying to take that office because somehow you would acquire all of his business by being 4 miles away, right? Then they're also willing to take on every single client.
Yep.
Even the pains in the butts, and they'll bend over, make every concession. It's weird to use that term. Sorry. Bend over backwards is what I meant, to make every concession to appease the client, right? But you're putting yourself in a bad position because now they have that expectation every single time they call.
Absolutely.
Hey, I came in when I first met you. We sat down for an hour and a half. So now it's every time it's an hour and a half, right?
Right.
No. Right.
Yeah.
And you nailed it. It is a volume game, right? Volume and speed. If you don't have volume and speed, you're going to go the way of those guys that were all around you that you absorb, because there isn't room for the old way.
Yeah, I get very jealous when we're on, our elite calls, and I talk to people from Texas and all those
Texas,
premiums.
Colorado, Texas.
Oh man,
Michigan.
It's tough. Like one of the biggest directives we're doing this year is we call it discovery premium, but because we absorbed all these smaller books, and really, I mean, it's a good practice for anyone anyway. But we have a list. We use a live Google sheet that everybody has access to, and I go through all the accounts and I find anyone who's monoline, anyone who has state minimums. And we kind of make a big calling list, and my service team reaches out, and their only job is to review the policy, document what coverages they have, document what coverages they don't have, and try to cross-sell it. And that's, it's kind of a CYA for us to make sure that our people we didn't sell know the terrible coverage they have and know how much it would cost to get better coverage. So it's on them when they say no. And then obviously it's nice to try to get the cross sell too, but that trains them also to, hey, you don't need to call. We'll call you. You don't need to come in. We're going to be in touch. And we used to do the alphabet strategy. So A, B in January, C, D, but that just was so cumbersome, and people get used to it and they know the call's coming. So then what was happening, people would save what they needed. And then these calls were getting longer, and we scrapped that. It does work.
Yeah.
We needed something better.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now. You've heard me talk about the California. We're not supposed to sell here.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, which is bananas, but it is what it is. But
my carrier's doing the same thing there.
Oh yeah, it's all of the problematic states: New York, Florida, California. They're just trying to navigate us that weird laws.
New York, we always complain because I don't know how familiar you guys are with the geography of New York State, but I am not close to New York City in any way. And that's where all the problems are. Well, to
That's
be
a different
fair,
monster.
yeah, it's crazy. But, if stuff goes bad in New York, that means stuff goes bad everywhere. Like we had that big storm here in Buffalo on Christmas weekend. There was no moratorium. Nothing stopped. We could have sold all weekend. We called a moratorium because we're not idiots, but the company didn't. They would have let us sell everything with 8 feet of snow on the roof. Meanwhile,
Wow.
a tropical storm barely touches Long Island and the whole state shuts down.
It's so
Wow.
crazy.
The logic is flawed.
Yeah.
But it's tough because I'm sure you guys experience it in California. If you're not close to a big city, you still suffer when the big city doesn't deliver on the results that are anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they sell 10% of homes here. California, it's because of all the wildfires and stuff. And we saw billions and billions of dollars that just got burned up. But it's like, dude, I live by the beach and like all the homes around here, they ain't going to be touched by fires, So like they don't cover most of the homes around here. It's like
Right.
bananas crazy. I want to know how you became an insurance agent, what you were doing before that. But before that, I'm going to leave a cliffhanger for everybody. We have a piece of tech advice that we were talking about prior to this call that made our minds go, oh my gosh, it's so easy. How do we not see this? But we're going to leave that hook so that you stay till the end, and we'll give that at the end.
It's a good plan. I like that.
Yeah.
So I graduated college in 2010, December 2010. I was a bad student. I had to spend an extra semester to, get out of there. And then I basically took a year sabbatical. Fall 2011, I started at Reptilian Call Center, we'll call it. And one of the, reptilian insurance carriers. I worked in a department there for actually 4 or 5 years. Did really well. I was the top salesperson in the country there for their homeowners division. Got to go to the Berkshire Hathaway conference, which was awesome. Really, honestly, that company, which a lot of people like to dump on, really gave me my passion for insurance. I really did like working there. And then I made the mistake of moving into management, which I absolutely hated for multiple reasons. But I can remember there's 3 moments that made me decide I wanted to be an agency owner. The first one was right after I got promoted. They showed me my premium report. And in that year that I was number 1 in just fire insurance, I had sold 1.4 million in premium. And I was thinking to myself, man, I made this company a lot more money than they paid me. There might be another way to do this.
Yeah.
But, drinking the Kool-Aid, drinking the company well, they convinced me management was the way to go, move up and everything like that. But we had a supervisor planned outing where it was just supposed to be fun. We all go together, we all hang out, casual, no alcohol, whatever. And just random tidbit about me, I'm very into Ultimate Frisbee and Can Jam. Played it all through high school, played it in college, very into it. So Can Jam was there. Well, all right, that's all I played. I played Can Jam all day.
What is Can Jam?
What's Can Jam?
Oh, you don't know? Oh, man. Well, so Can Jam is a game where you have a Frisbee, which is pretty straightforward. It is a plastic bucket that you put in front of you. And then I don't know the exact measurement of feet away, but you place the other one so many feet away from you. There's a tiny little slit in it. And the game is you have a partner on the other side. You throw the Frisbee to them and they try to tap it in the top of the bucket. And if they do, you get 3 points. And the goal is to get to 21 points. You get 2 points for hitting it, 1 point for tapping it into the side, and you get an instant win if you get it in the little slot.
Oh,
It's a blast. Tons
that
of
sounds
fun.
awesome.
Like cornhole with frisbees.
Yeah. It was actually invented, I think, in Rochester, which is a town over from Buffalo. But it's a blast. If you don't have one, you can get it online. It's not expensive. It's definitely worth it. It's a ton of fun, especially on the beach.
I like
great.
to camp. And so,
that's
throw in the
perfect.
RV. That's genius.
You play it once, you're going to be hooked. I promise you.
Oh, I
It's a
love
lot
it.
of fun.
I'm
Is there
getting
a
all kinds of
preferred
tips.
brand?
Look at my
A preferred brand that we should be looking at?
There's only one brand. If you go on Google Can Jam, there's one company that does it. Well, to be fair, I haven't researched it. I guess I shouldn't say that so definitively. It's KANJAM. So I know that's it.
That means now I got to start another company. If there's only one of them.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Well,
Yeah,
what's the new
you gotta find a way to get
opportunity?
a
You can't
different
do an
spin on it.
improvement offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played that. It was a lot of fun. There was other stuff, volleyball, whatever, other games. No big deal. Never thought another thing about it. So next week, go back to work like normal. I come in, get on Outlook. I have 4 meetings scheduled with managers. Now, I usually have one with my manager. I don't usually meet with the other 3 managers. That's strange. So I was like, oh, whatever. Maybe it's a performance review, whatever. At that point, I was the number 1 supervisor. So I really wasn't stressed at all. So I go in, sit down, and they say, hey, did you have fun at the picnic? I was like, yeah, it was great. They're like, we noticed you didn't play volleyball. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not really into volleyball. I really like Can Jam.
Oh, my
And then they were like, well, the volleyball would have given you a chance to get to know your coworkers who you don't know as well. And we were a little disappointed to see that you didn't participate in that.
You've got to be kidding me.
And then I had that same meeting 3 more times in a row.
And you're like, I am dead.
That was my red flag. That was really not what I was going for. And then the straw that broke the camel's back, again, at the place where I was working, you could donate to the United Way to have casual days, meaning you just wear jeans and a polo. You're not coming in sweatpants or anything. You're just wearing jeans and a polo. You could pay extra to have a hoodie day. No big deal. Pretty straightforward. So that's always what I did from the day that I started. I like to be casual. I like to be relaxed. I'm not a suit and tie kind of guy unless I have to be. Same thing. Even though I was number one, I was getting a lot of negative feedback from my manager. So a good friend of mine who also worked at the company just gave me a suggestion. He's like, just wear a shirt and tie for 1 week. He was already in a position above me. So we were friends and he gave me that advice. I'm like, sure, whatever. I'll do that. Wore a shirt and tie for 1, maybe 2 weeks. And then he told me, and another friend of mine corroborated this. They were in a meeting. Numbers hadn't changed at all. And they were sitting down. And my manager said, you know who's really stepped up lately? Robert Junge. He's doing much better. And that was it for me. I was like, I can't. And so now I always joke around that I left so I could wear sweatpants to work. Basically my main strategy. But yeah, that's what got me into the industry.
I loathe corporate stuff.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate story on exactly the heart of why I hate the corporate.
Absolutely. All great people. Loved working with them. But, they drank the Kool-Aid more than I was. And that was I couldn't do it.
Gosh, it's so sad.
It's so
sad.
weird.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm so stoked. I had no idea that you worked for the Lizard. That is so cool. So when I first started buying leads, and we were absolutely just horrible at that point. We had no sales skills. We sounded like clowns. And we were trying to put together a script and everything. And one of the things that we started doing was calling other companies. One of the biggest mistakes that we made was we would call other captive carriers, and captive carriers are a bunch of independent agency owners that probably doesn't have that much training in phone handling, right? That didn't help much. But the one call that we continued, what we had everybody do, was Geico, because that's their whole game, right? You don't get that second talk to. It's a one call close, or it's no chance.
Yeah, you're not allowed to call people back. It's not even so some people break the rules. I'm sure someone out there will be like, well, I call people back. But the point is to close on the spot. And you hone your skill doing it. And that's what I mean when I say, I really got a passion for sales and insurance from them, because even though the environment wasn't for me, the training was unbelievable. I mean, the training you get start to finish, there's never a break. You're on a call all day, nonstop, over and over, same thing, nonstop. You start to realize that, all customers are pretty much the same. They just say things a little differently. And you gotta, if you can pick out when somebody is lying to you. So they used customer responses, and there was 5 different types. There was agreement, which obviously pretty straightforward. Question, stall, statement, and one more that I'm blanking on. But at the end of the day, all it really came down to is pretty much everything's a stall. So everything, and stall to them meant they're not telling you why they're not buying it right now. And so the strategy was always agree with whatever they say and then ask them why. So that was basically like, I just want to talk to my wife and see. Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't make a decision without talking to my wife either. Let me email it over to you right now. Can I just ask what concerns do you think she'd have about the policy? And then we'll come out that, well, I don't really deal with this. She actually deals with it. It's like, okay, you want to get her on the phone. And then you realize in that moment, she doesn't deal with it. If she dealt with it, she'd be on the phone, not you. So they were really good at teaching that. And then now I try to instill that in my employees, but it's not easy to teach without the volume that you got at that place.
It is the volume. So what else did you learn? I think this is such a cool, you have experience that not a lot of us have had. So, it's super cool to get your take on it, especially since you were doing such high volume and sales and stuff. So what other things were some nuggets that you learned in that training?
Man, so besides the customer responses, you learned about types of customers. So that was the other big one, green, yellow. You try and identify what type of person you're working with. And not just that, but you try and identify what type of person you are. So like me, I can't remember. I think I'm blue is what the color was, but I like to be sold. I don't want to shop around. I want to buy right now. I'm not going to tell you that when I get on the phone. But if you are nice and you do a good job and I feel satisfied with what you've given me, I'm going to buy from you. Same thing at the store, same thing at any time. One of my employees is what we consider yellow or yielding, which means he'll just ask a million questions. He's not buying today. So he's just going to keep asking questions. So it's always about redirecting back to the sale. And that's the polite way to end a call that is, quote unquote, wasting your time. So you say, hey, what did you say that coverage was again? Oh, the coverage is coverage B. It covers your garage. It's at $30,000. Do you think that'll be enough coverage for your garage? Yeah, I think so. Okay, great. So do you want to send this to your mortgage or do you want to just pay it out of pocket yourself? And just
Perfect.
every time, bring it right back. Answer their question, bring it back to the sale. Answer their question, bring it back to the sale.
Right.
And you can only do that in a courteous and professional way if you can identify the response that you just got and the type of customer that you're speaking to.
100%.
It's invaluable, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I know there is a call center in California, in San Diego, I want to say. There might even be one in Arizona. I can't remember.
There's one in Tucson. There's
yeah.
it's literally probably 4 minutes away from my office.
If you can get them away from there, usually you're going to get some of the best employees. You don't want people who quit or get fired. Those usually aren't the best.
Those are the only ones that I've hired. It did not work out every single time.
Because that place, as I'm talking a lot of great things about it, and I did have a good experience working there, but they're also really tough, very dumb things like going to the bathroom. Like if you go to the bathroom, you have to use your break. You can't just go to the bathroom. You have to sign out on your break time, which is a new thing, and it didn't happen when I was there. But there's a lot of negatives, and I think that the people who leave, it's a dump on them for saying they couldn't handle it, because that stinks. Who wants to use their break to go to the bathroom?
Right.
But if you are driven and motivated, it's a great place to get your insurance career started for sure.
But they have the cash to pay that base.
Yeah, they have a nice base.
What was the base?
Oh, when I started, it wasn't nearly as much. It was 25 because minimum wage was much lower too. So I think I was 25 or 30. And then it works like the military, the way they do their raises. So you hit certain thresholds, then you get a grade promotion, and then that makes your base go up. Every year you get a merit raise based on how well you did against your peers. So for example, in the department I was in, the grades were 60 to 63. So I was a 63, which is the top. They compared me against all the other 63s, and then I was number one, so I got the highest raise, and then they just kind of go down the list from there. So I had a great experience. Like you could talk to 100 people, and probably half of them had a terrible experience.
Right.
But there's no denying that the training there is invaluable.
It's interesting because like being that regiment about things like the bathroom breaks and stuff would have worked a lot better 5 years ago. Whereas now it's like people have gotten used to working from home and things have gotten a lot.
It's gotten loose.
It's gotten loosey goosey. So if they're holding to that
to work, like now it's not whether I have to go to the bathroom. It's like, oh, I actually have to come to work and be there.
Yeah, I've honestly, my best staff that I had, I poached all from Geico. My best staff members. I got 3 people who work permanently from home, but one of them lives in Missouri, so I can't really blame her for not wanting to commute. But the other 2, they just, obviously we set up, panicked during COVID, got everyone set up to work from home, invested in technology, and then the 2 employees had children. Why would they drive 20 minutes to the office and pay for childcare when they could do their job at home? But there's still 2 of my best employees that do that. So if their job performance had faltered, I might have been an issue, but they're doing just as good at home. So I have no problem with it.
I think it helps that they started in the office,
Yeah, of course.
It's been challenging, like bringing somebody on and they just start and they're at home. It's really difficult to measure where they should be at, right? Because it's tough. And it's tough to train them. It's tough to get the energy.
Yeah, the energy is definitely the hardest thing. Somebody was talking earlier about the cameras and everything. We're always, get your cameras on. We're going to talk. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. But, I'm just as guilty of it as anyone. Sometimes you go off on a football tangent and half the staff likes football. Half the staff doesn't like football. So then they're checked out. Now I got to reel them back in, get them interested in the conversation again. So no matter what, it's going to be tough. It's just new challenges, but I think it's definitely something that is navigatable. I don't know if that's a word, but it's all I can think of. It's just, I definitely agree though, Craig. You gotta do your best. Start with them in the office.
Yeah.
As much as they won't want to, you're gonna get such a better training and look in on how they operate their day to day when they're in front of you.
So you think that I should go down at Geico around lunchtime and do a Gary V with a big sign, just stand out there and say, are you tired of having to use your break time to go to the bathroom or something?
I don't think it's a bad idea. Oh, I don't know if your state's different, but in my state, you can look everybody with the license up and you can look up their email. So if you look up on the state website, just start searching names, look for people who are appointed at Geico. Their email should be on there. Just shoot them an email. I don't know if your state's any different, but that's how it is for New York.
I don't know if you could just see a list. You'd have to type in names like
you pick a generic name: Johnson, Smith, Walker.
Yeah.
So we have, it's called ALIS, ALIS lookup, and you just type in a name and it'll give you a list. And it's not easy, but you could definitely do it.
Sure.
Or like you said, you could go to the parking lot, whatever you want to do.
Or set up some Facebook ads.
Yeah, Facebook ads. People put that they work there. You could definitely target people that work there.
Just shoot a video.
Buy a porch, wrap it, and like are tired of your brakes, of using your brakes to go to the bathroom, a big wrap around a Porsche and say, you could own this car.
We did unlimited paid vacation. That's our hook. That's how we try to get people. And it's not a hook. I shouldn't say that. It's real. We do it.
How does that work?
So you just got to give us 2 weeks notice and that's it.
Did they do it?
Oh yeah, all the time. We have people.
How long?
Well, so I mean, we have the ability to deny it, of course, but nobody's ever abused it. Nobody's ever asked for a month or 2 months off or anything like that. The only rule is it can't be on the same day as someone else in your department. Got to be approved by us. It's got to be 2 weeks out, and that's really it. And no one's ever abused it. Most anyone's ever taken off is 2 weeks. But, when it depends on the department they're in, it's pretty easy to measure their criteria. Sales, they got to hit the minimum still. Yeah, you can have off. You still got to sell 15,000 this month. So if you can do that, go for it. Great. But if not, next month we're having a different conversation. So it's a nice perk because in our opinion, it makes them feel like they're not being babysat and we're not treating them like children.
Love it.
If they want to be off, they can be off. They know what they have to do in a day. If they do it, we're not going to give them a hard time.
Super cool. Yeah. It's funny because I've talked to a few people, one being my wife's sister, and she's like, yeah, I got unlimited paid vacation. I'm like, what kind of world do we live in that we can do this? It does make sense with parameters and stuff, but I don't know all the ins and outs to hers, but it just sounded odd to me. It just sounded very like the ship can go down at some point if everybody
it definitely could, but you just got to organize it. But there are 2 very distinct perks. One, you don't pay anyone out PTO when they quit or get fired because they haven't accrued any time. So when it's unlimited, there's no bank, so you don't have to pay it out. So that's a nice little perk when somebody quits or gets terminated. If they banked up a lot of time, you don't have to pay them on it. There was no time. It was unlimited.
Right.
And then obviously you have much more control of your schedule because you can say, I have one girl who's part-time. Okay, well, my person X is off on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So instead of you working Monday, Friday, can you work Wednesday, Friday? And then I can make sure there's a little more coverage. So it has its perks, and most people don't abuse it. We have never encountered somebody who has. I'm not saying they're not out there, but nobody so far has abused it.
Well, that's good to know.
I think it's a respect thing too. If they like you, they're not going to try to push it. I've also I've denied vacations, but the difference is I also try to be an understanding person where if you're asking off, like my one employee asked off because she wanted a 3-day weekend because we're closed on Monday, for whatever holiday Monday is.
Martin Luther King
Day. Yeah, we close for all the school holidays because everybody that works for me has kids. So that's the other perk we do for them. So she wanted 4-day weekend. So she asked off Friday. And I said, no, but if you're not going to be here, tell me and it'll be an unpaid day off. So that's what she did. And then that's fine. I got someone to cover for her. So
she's
a little more trust. Yeah, a little more trust, a little more communication. Because nothing drives me more crazy than like, I'm sick, I can't come in today.
Yeah.
Like
it's the worst.
Tell me the truth. Hey, you know what? I don't want to work today. Can't do it. Okay, no problem. You're unpaid. No problem. Have a good day off. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we become as a society these people that when we're working, we have to lie.
Yeah.
Like, why does everybody have to friggin' lie? Like, let's be like, I'm honest with them. I friggin' put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point.
You hope that you get returned on that, but a lot of times they will take advantage of that. So
yeah, people definitely do take advantage, but they usually weed themselves out.
Yeah, that's true too. So you've got the culture it sounds like the culture's pretty tight.
I think so. I guess you'd have to ask my staff. I think that we have a pretty good culture. We get along. We all consider ourselves friends outside of the office, which is also a whole nother world to try to manage and be appropriate with. But the one thing I will say that's nice is everybody is either married or engaged. So, there's not like any weird inter-office tension or weird stuff. Like everyone's friends with wives of the employees. We all know each other. We all communicate. So it's a pretty tight-knit thing. It also makes it hard to hire, though, because not only do we need to find someone that fits our culture, or the opposite, for someone that is qualified, but also fits our culture. We made the mistake of hiring somebody who on paper was a great hire, but they just did not mesh with everybody in the office.
Yeah.
And that was tough.
How many do you have?
Got 7 full-time and then 2 part-time.
So who's your favorite one? Let's go ahead and name them. I'm just kidding. Why don't you give a shout out to all of them?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to all of them. So we got Sarah, Tammy, Tanya, and Sandra. We got Chris. We got Big Time Timmy Jim, as we call him. Did you guys ever see that?
Big Time Timmy Jim.
He's
your favorite.
Tim Lincecum. You know what I'm talking about?
Who?
Tim Lincecum. That's where the old. Look it up. It's hilarious. There's an old ESPN commercial with Tim Lincecum. He's a baseball pitcher. I'm not into baseball, but I just remember the commercial.
Where did he?
The Giants, I think.
Okay.
And he's recording his voicemail. And he's like, oh, this is the franchise. And he's like, hey, this is Big Time Timmy Jim. God, nobody calls me that. And then 5 seconds later, someone walks by and says, hey, Big Time Timmy Jim, how you doing? So it's good. And then I got my Bridget, who is our in-house marketer. We have a unique setup with our carrier where they give us free leads every day, about 17 free leads a day. So we have the in-house carrier or in-house marketer call them the first week, and then we upload them to Teledude after that.
Gotcha.
Super cool.
We have a couple different systems that like automatically text and whatever, and our carrier doesn't integrate them like I think yours does. So it's a lot of manual input. You'd laugh if you ever saw me. Anybody with any technological sense. I literally have to get it from the system, type it on the Excel sheet. Then the marketer puts it into the program that texts and then calls them. And then it just, there's got to be a better way, but we haven't found it yet.
Well, at least you're not using tablets, chisels, and
abacus.
Yeah, it definitely could be worse.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I would love to hear. So you obviously do have a good culture in your agency. When you do hire someone, what's your training process?
So it's different for service and sales, but we kind of developed it a lot during COVID. We made a lot of pre-recorded videos that walk you through, and we give them access to the library anytime. Anyone could use it. So anything you have to do in my office, there's a video on how to do it made by me. So it's my voice, my face is on there. At that point, I had a webcam. My face is on there, and it was a free screen recorder. Blanking on the name, I could pull it. Screencast-O-Matic. It's a free screen recorder. You could just record whatever you want. And so we kind of put them through some of that stuff. We do pay them to go through licensing. So we give them the choice. They can, and again, every state's different, but in New York, you can either self-study or you can go to the class. You self-study, we'll reimburse you for the cost. If you go to the class, we'll only reimburse you for the cost of what the self-study would have been, and the rest is on you. So we let them choose which route they want to go. Either way, it's paid, and we give them 3 weeks to get licensed. Then once they're licensed, they start the videos, and we kind of segment it out with each video, and then a shadow. So you watch some videos, then you watch someone do what you just saw. Then you watch some videos, then you watch someone do what you just saw. And then once that's done, then they start to do it themselves with the videos. Watch the video, do it yourself. Watch the video, do it yourself. Until eventually, you pull the training wheels off and you just say, try and do it without the video. Try and do this without this. And big change, because with the sales, it used to be a lot of training on the outbound call script, whereas now it's more training on an inbound call script. And that has been a positive change for sure. It's much easier to take an inbound call, even one that, is not interested. Still much better than making an outbound call to someone who's not interested.
You mean like the callbacks?
We don't mind callbacks. Yeah, it's pretty good and pretty easygoing. And, the internet leads, we try to finesse it as best we can. Hey, we know you put your info in online. We know you're getting a lot of calls. I actually wrote down what you guys said today: fast, cheap, and easy. So I'm going to try to incorporate that, because I think that's hey, I know you're getting a lot of calls. I can promise you we're going to be the fastest, cheapest, and easiest. Just give me 5 minutes. I'm going to try to tweak that.
Up with that.
Yeah.
I think it was from when he was in a band.
Yeah, that was my nickname.
Fast, cheap, and easy.